everybody. Michael with Juggernaut Weld Fab. Today we're working on some aluminum exhaust. This will go for boost piping, anything you're doing with aluminum tubing. But I feel like something that gets overlooked and that can make a huge difference in your weld appearance and just the weld in general is paying attention to the cleanliness of the inside of the tubing. These tubes are formed on a mandrel bender, which means a mandrel die goes in, slides inside this tubing, and a lot of times they use lubricant inside the tubing to do that. And you can look inside this tube. The outside's nice and polished and shiny, and the inside of this tube is filthy and nasty. It's got a film on it. What I like to do is use a stainless steel wire wheel and take that and clean all around the inside of this tubing right at the joint. And also, when you cut your tubing on your bandsaw, it leaves little tooth marks in it. You'll see little tiny grooves in it. Even this factory edge has them where it was cut with a bandsaw. And so what I like to do is, I'll show you this one. When I'm prepping up my joints, I'll take a piece of masking tape and I'll run this wire wheel all the way around the outside of that edge and get that surface nice and clean with the wire wheel. And then I'll take a 2-inch roll lock Scotch-Brite pad and I'll go ahead and go around the edge of the tubing and knock down any of those grooves from the bandsaw. You want to be careful when doing that, you know, because your fit up is everything. You don't want to stay too heavy in one spot and then have your gaps or tear up your nice straight edge. So yeah, that's what I wanted to go over, was just prepping the material inside and out and taking down that surface where your bandsaw cut through, those tooth marks. So we'll go ahead and get some of this stuff prepped up and get it welded up. Now, after removing your masking tape, or after you get everything cleaned up and remove your masking tape, you should have a nice little crisp line where you clean the material with that wire wheel. The inside of that tubing is nice and clean, and I also smoothed out all those teeth marks, the tooth marks from the saw. Go ahead and test fit it up to make sure you didn't get too crazy with the roll lock, but everything looks good there. So get everything wiped down with acetone, get everything fit up, get it welded up. So we went ahead and got our joints fit up, and I showed you how we cleaned them with the wire wheel inside and out. Cleaned off the tooth marks off of the edges of your tubing. I went ahead and got this thing tacked up, and that's how I obviously do it, is you got to tack it all together, make sure it fits under the vehicle still, and then start welding it up. So that's the point we're at right now. I'm using 53-56 filler rod, and it's a 1/16 diameter filler rod for this wall thickness. It's pretty thin wall tubing, so the reason you want to match the diameter of your filler rod to the thickness of your material is because one's going to melt way before the other. If I go and try to weld this up with 1/8 inch filler rod, the tubing's going to melt and fall away by the time I can get my filler rod to melt at the same temperature. So, you know, honestly, I try to match it up with either the same thickness or a little bit thinner. Feels like I have a little bit more control. Using our EDGE number 5 pyrex cup with the collet body adapter. Thank God for these gloves, man. My pinky was starting to get pretty hot, but these Defiant metal gloves are pretty badass. They're a lot thicker than the Black Stallions. All right, so we got the exhaust all wrapped up. We were replacing this 4-inch exhaust with a 3.5-inch full exhaust that came with a Huron turbo kit. It comes with a dump and this, but this does not even come close to fitting. So the gentleman that we're doing the work for wanted a full exhaust with a bullet muffler. So that's what we did. We necked it down to 3.5 because he's going to be dumping a bunch out of the wastegates anyway. So it shouldn't affect performance at all. But he'll run that on the street, pull it off for the track, and put the dump on. So let's walk over and I'll go over what we did. All right, so what we did was we took and we started here at the exhaust. This is the downpipe off of the exhaust for the dump. And what happened was Huron would not sell me a flat face V-band to replace this one. I don't know why they want you to buy a whole turbo kit, I guess, instead of sell you just a V-band flange. So what I had to do was cut that one off of the 4-inch exhaust, and then I reduced it from 4-inch down to 3.5 and kicked around through the K-member up past the starter and inside the transmission mount, and tried to tuck it as far up against the floor pan as I could, and then went ahead and fabricated a bullet style muffler for it. Cut this all on the plasma table and rolled it on the slip roll. If you look inside, it's perforated, so it's just a flow through muffler. It's still going to be loud. It's pretty darn nasty, but it should muffle it just a little bit. And what this is going to do is get the exhaust back behind the car, where before it was dumping right in front of the right front tire, and he literally had to drive around on the street with Shooting Ear Pro on to make it enjoyable. So like I said, we put 3 V-bands in between here so that he can pull it off when he's going to the racetrack. He can pull it off and just put his 4-inch dump on it. This is all aluminum. And again, we went over the importance of prepping your material and how important your fit up is. If you've got any gaps between your cut pieces of mandrel bends or your straights, whatever, if you have any gap, it's definitely going to affect your weld appearance. Okay, so as tight a fit up as possible, just like with anything. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good day. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.